It's the voice of the one and only DJ Scream, letting you know that you are now in tune to the Casual Flex, where culture meets sports and casuals are welcome. Now here's your host, Philip Dukes.
Yo, welcome to a very special edition of Auburn Undercover and the Casual Flex. I'm your host, Philip Dukes, aka Dukes D Scoop. Today, I got a very, very special guest, Mr. Kenny Irons. Kenny, what's up, bro?
What's up, Will? Nothing much, man. Just chilling. Just hanging here at the crib.
My boy K.I., man, a legendary Auburn player, somebody who is in the record books and probably will be for a long, long time, out of the metro Atlanta area. And before I say anything else, make sure y'all go hit the like and subscribe button. And today's episode was brought to you by Like Alliance Artwork. You see that? A-Town down for sure. You know, Braves colors. Make sure you check them out. So Kenny, man, for anybody that doesn't know you, like that wasn't in Auburn, that didn't get to meet you growing up, who are you as a person?
Just outgoing, goofy, silly. I would say very big from extrovert, but introvert. You know, I'm somebody who's very, caring, giving, not selfish. Only selfish like when it comes to like time too, because you can't give your time to everybody. You have to be cautious of your energy and other people's energy, and it can be very draining. But I'm just someone who really enjoys watching people grow, whether it's through fitness and through motivation, or just like one of the things about motivation is just that, like, in order to receive what you're hearing, you got to be very disciplined. Some people can get motivation and they don't ever do anything with it. So that's when discipline comes in. I'm someone who tries, I try to be a life coach, and everybody has like an Instagram feed, and everybody has a social media, and that's what our world has turned to. So I try to be very positive, because you never know who may come across your page or read something, and whatever they read might inspire them. People put on, they're drinking and they're partying, but you see that every day. Why do you want to come to a platform where you can help somebody and you just show them something that they see people drink every week? I like tequila and bourbon. I'm not going to share that, like me out drinking 24/7 and partying and going crazy. Like, people don't need to see that. They want to see, they need other information, because, people imitate life and what they see, and they're, a lot of people are influenced by a lot of times what they see, because some people can't think for themselves. So they always like, oh, well, I see this, I see that, and they want to imitate that or influenced by that. So a lot of times for me as a person, I know going through college in Auburn, I've always shared, who my time and just try to be positive around all the people I interact with. So I think that's just me. Silly, goofy, caring, very outgoing, but a huge introvert. And just, I've always said, like, people say, nah, Kenny, you're like just outgoing. You speak to everybody, this and this type of person. I was like, yeah, you don't realize who you really are until like after sports. Because, sports, when you play sports, they thrust you into this lifestyle that requires you to have this outgoing personality, because people can dictate the narrative. They can dictate, like, if you turn somebody away, if you don't want to talk to somebody or whatever, they'll say, oh my gosh, he's rude, he didn't want to talk to me, he didn't want to do this. And so knowing that, like, for me, going through like high school, and I learned it early on through high school, not even high school, but middle school, that, like, if you choose not to talk to, if you're not feeling good, you don't want to talk to somebody, that person can go tell the next person that never met you, oh my gosh, he's an or he's this person. I was like, no, I'm really not that person. So knowing that is like, you have to make yourself available to everybody, even if you don't want to, because they can share a narrative that's not true. And somebody that never met you may take that narrative and say, oh, and then they're going to prejudge you based off what this person said. So I've always tried to make it, like, even uncomfortable. When I'm uncomfortable, I try to like find a way to be comfortable and like give myself to everybody, give my time to everybody. And that's football, because you're thrust into even when you get to college, people like, hey, let's take pictures, want an autograph. You can't be like, nah, I don't want to do this, I want to do that. Because then they're going to judge you based off that. Oh, you're too good. They don't know that, hey, I signed 100, even NFL. signed 120 autographs right before I met you, and like I really just want to go home and just relax. I just got done playing. I just want to shower, change, and just relax.
Right.
And people don't see it that way. They just see that their needs weren't met at that moment. So now they hate you or they dislike you. So it's like if you don't meet people's needs or what they want or what they expect, then they're going to dislike you and then tell somebody else that this thing. So I learned that, and that's where the extrovert part comes from. Me just knowing that like I have to give anybody my time, even if I don't want to,
Right.
and if I'm uncomfortable, like I have to do it because I don't want them telling somebody else that I'm this bad person when I know I'm not.
Right.
And nobody will ever see that because they may not ever have the chance to meet you based on what this other person said. So they're just going to dislike you and not want to meet you. It's like, oh, I don't. And then they'll tell somebody else, even if they haven't met you, they'll just go follow that. Oh no, I heard he's this, I heard he's that. So I mean, that's never happened. But when football was over and I was done with it and that life was behind me, I was like, man, I really enjoy just being by myself and just being alone and just working out and just helping people reach another level. And I was like, yo, I'm really a big introvert. Like and you see, I'm usually always by myself or chilling with Zach if he's in Etheridge, who's Coach Etheridge, if he's in town or I'm usually just by myself. And I was like, yo, I'm really a big introvert, but you would never know that because when I'm in the scene or in the spotlight, a different switch turns on.
Right.
And so I'm talking, I'm saying, hey, hello, and engaging and very engaging. I'm not just stand off in the corner. Right. But then when I get home, I was like, man, so in fact, most of the time when I choose to either be a part of something or not, I just usually just stay home and just relax. So, but I know that's
would you feel like it was accurate to say like that K.I. and Kenny are separate? Like K.I. may be the guy who's like out and everybody. That's who we know, right? Right?
Yes.
We see K.I. All right,
we see
and
K.I.
then the introverted. Maybe more Kenny who you really are.
Who I'm really correct. Yeah, that's so true. That's so true.
And that's crazy to me, right? Because I never, as long as I've been knowing you, like I never ever was like, I was like, bro, he must wake up like with a battery in his back. Like, man, I remember one time, like I'm trying to graduate. I was at Auburn 1 year too long. I'm trying to graduate, me and you in the library, and my mom just pops up on me because she was like, he need to graduate. And she's in the library with me, and you just like, mama, hey, mama, you just hug her and all of this stuff. And man, she talked about that for maybe 20 years. I mean, 15 years for sure. Like, it was always like, who that Kenny Ernst? He just, man, when I came in that library, he made me feel like $1 million. So, so look, having that type of impact on people, it had to kind of weigh on you when the times that you didn't have that to pour. Like,
yeah.
So mentally, how do you process times when you're empty? Like when you don't have it to pour into somebody else, what do you do to kind of be okay when the people pleaser in you wants to pour, but you just don't have it? What do you do?
Like if I don't have it, like I find a way to still give it, because if I or like I said, I'll just like stay away. Like, but if I example, a friend invited me to this Super Bowl party, right? And she wanted to hang out with me, and then but it was all these other people, and some of the people were like Auburn graduates. And I told her, I was like, man, I really don't want to go. I'd rather just sit and watch the games at home and just chill and relax. Because I know like I'm going to like forget about you, because now like people are going to want to talk and chat and everything else. And knowing I didn't want to be there, then everything else just forget. I just, like you said, this battery just turns on. And then she was like, wow, I see what you're talking about, because I really didn't get no time with you. And I was like, man, it's not like and I remember my ex telling me, she was like, you love the attention. I was like, man, I don't think she gets it. Like I try to explain to her, I was like, I don't really like attention. I really don't love the attention. I don't like it. I'm very like really chill, like closed off. But it's like people don't know, they're on the outside looking in. And it's perception versus reality when you think about it, like what I give in these 10, 15, 20 minutes and pour out, if I just don't do anything and just be like this sob and be like, oh, I don't really want to be here, like that energy flows into people. And it's like, oh my God, he's not just, I heard so many, heard this about him or heard that about him, and he's really not that. So now you have to like give what you don't have sometimes. And if you feel like you don't have it, like don't put yourself in those positions or situations or that environment where it's going to require you to give more than what you have.
Right.
It's almost like going to the gym. Sometimes people don't feel like going to the gym, and I think that's what comes with like self-care. Like society wants the best of you, not what's left of you. So if you don't have the best version of who you are to give, then don't put yourself in that position to where like you can't give, all of you, because they don't want like 40 or 50% of you. They want 100%. Even like when you're at work, when you're doing your podcast,
right.
when you're showing up to do your podcast, like, they're thinking, all right, we want you on to give your best energy, your best self. Oh man, I really feel like going, I don't even know what story to do today or what else to give. Like, you have to find something to give 100%, because when people come to listen to your podcast, they want the best information, something, the best of something they can like feed into somewhere else, So,
right.
And that's what people, and I think about that, like, man, like if I go here, they're going to want, my time, my attention. They're going to want, like, just,
you already know what's going on sometimes before you get there.
Correct.
And sometimes it's really important to be cognizant of the fact of who's there. And a lot of times people, like, I'll say, if like, they got the whole joke where it's like, hey, come over, and who's there first. But
right.
that's really self-care, because
for sure.
sometimes you want to know what you're getting yourself into before you get there. And
For sure.
can I muster? I'm at 60%. Can I get another 40? Because based on the audience, they're not going to, it's not going to see, it's no problem going home. They know, like, oh, hey, hey, you need anything? It's not about KI doing the party guy, or KI the vibe bringer, or KI telling jokes, being silly. It's, man, you have bad days. Everybody does.
You do it.
Like, we're human. And I think it's really, I appreciate you, that bit of vulnerability, because for a lot of people, like, I mean, even all the way back to Auburn, like, it almost seemed like, no pun intended, but like, you were like Iron Man. Like, you go out, no, serious, like, you go out, run for $150, come back, do your work. Hey, I'm the party. Hey, I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna do this. You helping everybody, smiling, like, And man, what about the times where, man, I don't feel good? So I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about, before you got to college football, what was it like growing up in such a athletic family, a competitive family? What was it like? Like, so for those that don't know, who his brother also played at Auburn, David Irons, Pop's a big time athlete. Like, how was that growing up? And how did was there pressure? And if it was, how did it affect you?
I would say, it's always a lot of pressure. My father, him being a big sports guy, and and sometimes it's always like you want to give up and you want to quit. And I always tell people, I was like, man, there's several times where I wanted to quit, because, my dad wasn't the nurturing person. My mom was like the big nurturing person. Even my stepmom, she's very nurturing. She's always like, Dave, get those boys in. We're up at like 4 or 5 a.m. training, because he knows what it takes to get to that next level.
Right.
And having someone like that who knows what it takes, who's been around it, and we have family members. Grant Irons, who played at Notre Dame. Jarrett was a linebacker at Michigan. We have Paul, who's over at Cleveland Browns, and we have a line of Irons that play D1 and then NFL. It was just a lot to live up to, and with those expectations, it was a lot on us, because my father knew what he wanted from us. It's almost like someone having a vision, but we don't have it. And I'm young. We're 5, 6, 7, 8 years old, and I don't see the vision, but my father sees it, and he knows what it's going to take. So me quitting and wanting to give up, and him like, nah, you got to keep going. And my mom is like, she was like, yeah, son, you don't have to play football. Don't worry about it, because that's the nurturing, because she sees us hurting. So she just wants to comfort us and take care of us. Right. And my father, he's like, nah, they got to get out here and catch 100 passes before they go in. Right. And I wasn't much of a catcher. So, my dad was like, he'll be like, before you can go in the house, you got to catch 100 balls in a row. And even if you get to 99 and you drop one, you got to start all over. So that's what it was like growing up. And I grew up playing linebacker, so I was more of a defensive guy, and my brother was a running back. So I was always defensive minded. Like I knew defense. I knew how to tackle, how to hit, and having that. And my dad had us going against each other 1-on-1. Like he'll set up a cone, me as a linebacker, and he'll set up another cone with David as the running back. He said, "Here's the cones." He said, "Dave, you can't run outside these cones. Kenny, you got it." He bought us like helmets, shoulder pads. We're like 6, 7 years old. He's like, "Kenny, you got to tackle him. No matter what, you got to tackle him." It's pretty much like it's like an open field drill. Before I knew what an open field drill was, this was like 1-on-1. I think the cones were like spread like 10 yards wide and like 10 yards deep. And David would start like in the backfield at one cone. He said, "Dave, you can run straight, you can run right or left, but you got to stay inside the cones. If you go outside the cones, Kenny wins, so you got, so it made David an aggressive runner. It made me an aggressive, and it made me think more. I had to process, okay, cool. All right, I had to read it, pretty much read and react. So doing that over and over, and you got to think, we had to sacrifice, social time. We had to sacrifice free time and everything else. It was just football and then going in and studying. We were young, but we were grown for our age because we like matured, like, and I see kids today, and I'm like, yo, wow. I was like, yo, they're very different than how we were in New Jersey in like 96, 97. Like they're very different than how we were growing up. We're playing football in the streets with cars coming and just going back to what your question about the pressure. It was a lot of pressure. I think it was a lot of pressure on my father, him having 2 boys and then a daughter and knowing what his father did and knowing what he wanted for us. And my dad would always tell us that he played in the NFL. And we believed that. So he would come to our school. It wasn't until we got older, until like high school, my stepmom was like, "Man, your dad didn't play the NFL." He would be like, we telling our kids at elementary school that, yeah, my dad played for Detroit Lions, and we didn't know. There was no internet or no like Google searches. And so
word was law. That was the law.
That was the law, right? Back then, like whatever someone said, that was it. So I was like, yeah, my dad played Detroit Lions. He's a running back, and he used to tell us about Barry Sanders. I was like, dang, really? So that inspired us too. When him telling the story, he would come to our school to come speak. Like, yeah, we're gonna have NFL David Iron Sr. come play the NFL Detroit. Yo, talking about it. I joke with my dad now. Yeah, you was at the school. Tell me again. They could Google search or check the roster back then. So now I clown my pops down about that till this day. When my stepmom finally told us the truth, she was like, but there was a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. Just because his expectations were high. There's no days off, and then the times I wanted to quit and give up, even he would be at our practice like every day.
Every day.
Every day he would be at our practice yelling at us.
Dad.
Yeah, Dad, like, "Hey, Irons, run the ball. What are you doing? That's not what I taught you." He would come out on the field. I'm talking about, he would come out on the field and smack us up outside the helmet. Like, you can't do that to your kids nowadays.
No way.
Like halftime, he would come out there. He's like, man, he grabs us by the face, "Man, if you don't run that ball, if you don't tackle, telling David not to run." And he's like, "Kenny, you don't tackle. How you miss that tackle?" He said, "Man, don't worry about it." He said, "Wait till we get home. Don't worry about it. We're going to watch them all day." We sit there and watch some more. And then we on the field. The game over, we on the field practicing. Man, it was a lot. But one thing he always told us, he was like, "Man, you got to play 3 or 4 levels above your age group." He said, "You got to be better than your competition. And the only way to be that way, you have to practice at a higher level." So he said, the kids at your age, 8, 9, 10, you can't be on that level. You got to be playing like you're 12, 13, 14. So we played for a team called Magnolia Rams. And so up north in Jersey, they play by weight class. So if you're in weight class, I played in my weight class, and you can be any age. As long as you're 90 pounds. So you can have a 14-year-old playing with 10-year-olds, long as he 90 pounds and under. Until game day, you got to weigh in.
Right.
and strip down. You weigh in. If you're at that weigh in mark, you're good to go. You can play. That was it.
Right.
You can be however old. You could be in that weight class. I remember playing I would play 2 games that day. I would play my 90-pound weight class, and then I would go with the older kids. I think the next the next group of weight class was like 115s. I think 115s.
Mm-hmm.
I would go play for the 115 pounders because they was like, yo, I was so good at linebacker, like my lateral, downhill, everything was just like, they're like, yo, we need them. So I would play 2 games in one day.
Oh wow.
I would finish my game, crush it, and then I would go play another game, back to back.
Dang.
And that's what turned me into the person I was as an athlete.
Right.
And I don't think kids don't do that nowadays. Like, they don't.
Now, I will say this. Now, the youth league football from the time that we played youth to now, it's like it's unreal. Like they rank 6-year-olds. Like it's like we got. Oh yeah, my son is number 1 in the country. I'm like, okay, what school is he at? Franklin Elementary. I'm like, what?
What?
That boy is 6. Like, but
That's
but now in Atlanta, it's so bad. Like you got now, and I see why. Now I do see a correlation between the amount of attention that guys put on their children at an early age and how they turn out. If they have, and I hate to overuse this term, but sometimes there are kids that got that AKA dog in them, right?
Right, they do, yeah.
And if you can identify it now, either they're gonna tuck tail or they're gonna eat. And,
right, yeah, for sure.
Some so even like you have guys that see it and they say, you know what, even when the child is crying or something happens, they say, okay, you know what, he's gonna be all right. I'm gonna keep pushing him. And
right.
I think the thing that hurts youth football is people don't have that eye for that anymore. So you may have a kid that you're really breaking. Like he's not a D1 football player. He's just big, right?
He's
the
just
dog
big,
isn't, and that dog ain't gonna hunt, right?
right.
But you done broke this kid forever because you're putting these aspirations on him that don't fit. I think your dad knew that you guys were dogs, right?
Right, yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? So he made a correct, his assessment was correct. And I think the worst part about youth football today is that guys don't have that same eye. They don't have that. They're not making a correct assessment on kids, and and some of these kids are messed up long term because of that. So,
oh yeah, for sure.
So let's talk about you at South Carolina. I think David had at this time. I think David signed with Auburn, and then he was a year ahead of you, right?
Right. Yeah, he was ahead of me, and he ended up going to junior college to start. He ended up going to junior college, and then I ended up going straight to South Carolina.
How was it? How was your time? Like you got to South Carolina, you went in, you went off, and then like something happened. Like what was going on in South Carolina?
So like my freshman year, I came in, had another running back by the name of Regis Edgerson who came in, and I love to compete. No matter what, no matter how it is, I'm going to compete for a job. And I got to South Carolina, and I played. I beat the incoming freshman running back Regis. I beat him out the job. So he was no. I just had there was Ryan Brewer who was a senior, another guy Dacus Turman. There's another guy. There was another guy. He was another senior running back, but he was leaving, and pretty much I got a lot of playing time. Did pretty well. I think I rushed for 300 yards my freshman year, which was okay. It didn't touch the ball as much. I got a good passing yards out of the backfield, but I was going to be that guy going into my sophomore year. I was like, all right, I'm going to be the starter going into my sophomore year. So I did well, and I was like, all right, I'm going to be that guy going my sophomore year. Pretty much everybody that came in with me, I beat out, and then some of the guys that were there, I already beat out. But then, it was funny. Regis, the other running back, he was my roommate. It was myself, Regis, Troy Williamson, and his other wide receiver named Andre Hemphill. We were all roommates. So here I am, the running back I'm competing with, I already beat out. So he already accepted his fate that yo, Kenny, you good, you're a dog, right?
Right.
And he's the one, and what happened was he was the one that noticed everything. But see, you got to think, my father had all this information from his experience with dealing with guys and players and dealing with college players and that level of football and understanding the game and how the game worked and understanding the politics of football. Right. He knew all that. So we had a pretty much leverage on that side of things. Mm-hmm. So he handled that. So it was funny because I think my jersey number was 22. And this other young guy, was being recruited by the name of Demetrius Summers. He's been recruited.
I remember him.
And we were in the library, this school bookstore where they sell like jerseys, and they had all these 31 jerseys being sold, and they rarely had my jerseys being sold. So the Regis was like, "Yo," he's like, "Okay," he's like, "Why they got these 31 jerseys? They should be having your jerseys in here, right? Like being sold." He's like, "Man, this don't make no sense." And I noticed it, and I was like, and I called my pops. I called him, and I had a little bootleg Nokia phone, like with a big battery pack that you play like the little snake game on. Yeah, but I had about like 20 minutes on it. You had to like pay to put minutes on the phone. So I told my dad, and I was like, I don't know. I didn't have to call and tell him, but I just told him, I was like, "Yo, this is weird," because Regis pointed this out. Come to find out, it would be a big thing, because I told my pops, like, "Yo," I was like, "Dad, I'm in the bookstore and they don't have none of my jerseys for sale. Like, they have all Regis, not Regis, but this other number 31. This guy's not even here yet. His jersey's for sale." And my dad was like, "Oh, snaps." He's all right, the fix is in. He said, "I already understand." He said, "So let me break it down to you." He said, "This is how the policies of football works, right?" He was like, "They're not going to put a kid's jersey for sale, because that's how they make their money too, off these jersey sales, unless somebody is telling them this guy's going to be our starter." So they're not going to put 31, who's not even there yet, for sale if they're not thinking, all right, he's going to be the starter, because that's money that the school is going to make. So he's like, somebody's telling somebody that this guy is going to be our starter. So you're going to have a uphill battle. So they're not looking at you as a starter. They're going to kind of push you out the way. And they're going to make it seem like, so he's like, "We got to get you out of there." He's like, because the fix is already in. He's like, "You're not going to win this battle. No matter if you're the better running back, you're not going to win this battle.
Nothing you can do.
There's nothing you can do, because the fix is already in." He's like, because they're already telling somebody to market this guy and sell these jerseys behind closed doors. But nobody else would notice it, would see this and recognize this. So
Yeah, because wow. You think about it, because I think he was like recruiting wise, he was like all world. This is before like the 24/7 and all of this. It was like, or maybe 24/7 just started, but he was like parade and all
everything.
Right now, not and that's not like saying you was chopped liver or nothing, like, bro, like you was high, like you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
but being a South Carolina kid, right? And he goes in, it's like, yeah. I mean, you can see it, us being at our age now, we can see how that happens. Oh, we're gonna take the hometown boy and
the hometown kid, bring him in,
right?
And that's what happened. But my pops was like, he's like, "Okay, this is what I want though." He's like, "We're gonna transfer, but you can't tell them where you're going to transfer to." He's like, "Because if you tell them, because back then colleges, they can grant you your transfer papers, or they can hold you and just keep you there and pretty much jail. You just got to suffer."
Right.
So he was like, if they ask you, because he was like, they're going to ask you where you want to transfer to. He's like, just tell them like some Penn State, Michigan, Texas, somewhere that's not an SEC, somewhere far off. Don't give them any idea that you're going to transfer within the SEC. Like, don't tell them Georgia or Auburn or Tennessee or somebody that they're going to play, because they don't want to have to face you. So he said, lead them on a different route. Put them on route I-95, not 85, or somewhere not close to home. So like, all right, cool. I stuck to the plan. So they was like, all right, we'll grant you your transfer papers. And they granted me my transfer papers. And that's when I was able to transfer the spring of 2004. That's when I was able to transfer. So, and, they wasn't expecting me to transfer to Auburn. It was like, so it was cool, man. But just that whole experience, knowing how they can sit. Yeah, I had to sit out a year. Yep, so I sat out that. That's what Auburn went undefeated in 2004. So I sat out that 2004 season. And then my first year being able to play, that's when we were able to play South Carolina that first year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I don't remember. How was that game?
It was good. The first year we played him was good. It wasn't because there were so many emotions built up in that game.
Okay.
That first year we played in South Carolina.
Oh, wow.
And I think I only rushed for like 85 or like 95 yards or something. I had like 2 or 3 touchdowns, 85 or 95 yards.
Easy work.
It was just so many emotions, and like a homecoming game. You had all like Auburn fans in the stands holding up signs like "Thank you for Kenny Lou," because I was crushing it. All the games leading up to that, I was crushing it. Like, "Thank you for Kenny Lou." They're like, "You should have never let him leave." Blah blah blah. Because at this time, Demetrius Summers he didn't pan out to be the guy they wanted him to be. Right. He was having off the field issues, character issues, and everything else. And here I am like rising and his stock is dropping. So everybody's like, yo, like Lou, like you told us this guy wasn't nothing. It's like what you know, at that time, Lou was I think Spurrier was coaching at that time. He was the head coach at South Carolina at the time. And Lou was the commentator. And Lou was like, yeah, didn't you used to have this guy? He was like, yeah, this like pregame. He was like, yeah, you know, we made a good decision. He's not really that, pretty much saying I'm not that good.
Right.
Then I came and just like crushed it. Then the next year, all the emotions and everything else, because I got that first year out the way.
Right.
The next year we played at Auburn. South Carolina played at Auburn. And I just ate him up. I think it was like 125 for like 2 touchdowns. It was ugly. So,
all right, we got that. While we talking about eating, we got to talk about the game, Kenny.
Right.
LSU, dog. Bro, what made you tell LSU you was finna get them 200, bro? What made you do that? Look, let me tell you something. We was like, man, Kenny is tripping, bro. What is he doing? Like, just us just being around, you know, like, bro, like tripping. Like, what made you want to do that?
I don't even know. Like when I came off the bus, I thought I was talking. You know how we like each game we always have like they make a highlight film for us from the previous game, so we watch a highlight that Friday night.
Okay.
We watched like a highlight. So I'm thinking it was like our team cameras. I didn't know it was ESPN cameras.
Mm.
So I thought it was like our team camera that's going to be on a highlight. And I was going to say 400 yards. I was like, yeah, I'm about to rush for, just saying it was pretty much just a sum of me saying I'm going to have a good game.
Right.
You know, I didn't know how the games, LSU had like the number 1 defense. They didn't give up a 100-yard rushing leading up to that game.
Right.
So they had they had a stacked defense. So I was about to say 400 yards, just say, oh, I'm going to have a good game and I'm going to crush it. But I just said, oh, I'm going to have 200. Instead of saying 400, I'm going to have 200. And I didn't know, like, what was, I'm going to feel. I didn't know, like, what was going on TV and how they was following me. I didn't know that. I didn't know until, like, my coach and people were texting me, like, I got back to my phone. I had all these texts, like, yo, you crazy. You wild. Did you watch the TV yet? Like, yo, like, they're like, yo, Coach Grant's going to kill you. When he see this, Coach Grant, nobody else. None of the coaches, they didn't see it yet till the next day. And at the time, I think we had a stacked offensive line. We had Ben Grubbs, Marcus McNeil, Joe Cope, Tim Duckworth.
Was King playing? Yeah, King.
Yeah. King. I don't think he was.
Yeah, King wasn't King yet, was he?
Because. Nah, King wasn't King yet. Nah, he wasn't King yet. Nah, he wasn't the Philadelphia King.
Right. He wasn't King yet.
He was there.
Right.
He was the big. Yeah, he wasn't King yet. He was a big body that can fill up space, but he didn't have that aggressive like mentality. So,
right.
But man, it was crazy because we had a stacked offensive line. We had a great center, Big Ross. We had a lot of great guys on our offensive line.
Right.
And they pretty much just gave me space. And LSU had a great defense where they would get in the backfield, but I would make a bing little cut here and just hit it. But I was so good at running downhill and hitting a hole.
Right.
A lot of guys we missed that with the offense we run down because we run a lot of east-west, that style, that shotgun.
Right.
We don't have a lot of guys that run downhill. So I was good at running downhill. So when they were aggressive running uphill, I would just hit the hole and bing and go.
Out of there.
And out of there. So I was gone. So but yeah,
I think you gave him like 72 on one of them, right? 70,
on
80?
Yeah, I wasn't going down. Like everybody, it was funny because everybody thought I was down, but I was still up. And so when you go back and watch the film, our linemen thought I was down. Everybody thought I was down because everybody just like stood, and then I just broke out, and everybody looked like they started pointing like, "Look, you need to go chase him!" Like our linemen pointing, like our wide receivers pointing, like, "Look, he gone! Like you mess fighting me!"
Right.
Like our running back is running up the field. Like, dog, it was so funny because it's like, okay, how the heck did you do that? I'm like, man, I don't even know. I just knew I couldn't go down because we losing at that time. It's third quarter, 7 minutes left in the third quarter. I was like, yo, we lose. I got to make something happen. So,
man. So were they talking to you crazy like pregame, like 200 on us? Like what was LSU saying to you before you got on the field?
They wasn't saying nothing, because none of them knew about the 200 because none of them knew about it because it was like on TV. Okay. So even before that, like they would still talk trash. I think they had Laurent Landry was out there. He was one of their safeties, And I mean, he put a hit on me that was something mean. I was like, dang. I was like, man, that's only the first quarter. You still got a whole you got whole 4 quarters.
I ain't
He's like,
stopping.
I'm not stopping because my running mentality comes from me being a linebacker.
Oh,
And
okay.
I love the physical context. I love hitting people.
Right.
So when people say, man, you run so hard, I love the physical context. It would be sometimes I would run into people just so I can get hit because that just fuels my fire. I love getting hit. Like when people hit me, I was like, damn, that felt good. I like that. Like some people get hit, they don't like it. Like me, it makes me stronger. It makes me run harder. So by the time the fourth quarter coming, I'm at my highest potential. Like that first quarter is the best time to get me because if you don't get me in that first quarter,
don't let me get going.
That fourth quarter, I'm gonna keep going. Like I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep lowering my shoulder, keep busting. You're gonna keep hitting. You know, I'm like 180, 190. Like I'm gonna give you a lot. I'm gonna bring you that boom. So they talked a lot of trash. Like, man, like you suck. You're not this. You know, they was saying you're not gonna run 100 on us, like stuff like that.
Right.
They were saying like, yeah, we haven't let up 100 yards this whole game. Like, after I broke that 72-yarder, they was like, okay, this is a little different.
All right, Kenny. So you have a great career at Auburn. Like,
right.
You play with a lot of good players. Let me ask you this: who was the most athletic player besides yourself or your brother that you played with while you was at Auburn?
While I was at Auburn, man, that's a good one. I want to say Ronnie Brown or Carnell. I want to say Ronnie. Right. When I think about Ronnie Brown, man, I just think about this player who has a lot of cards like stacked against him. You know, when I think about him, he was in a situation like myself.
Right.
Where you have like, you know, Ronnie's supposed to be like the starter, but then you have like Carnell comes in, and then you have, you know, Brandon Jacobs, and he was just all around team play. He can catch out the backfield. He can run, smart. He can do it all. He can do it all, like everything. Like I couldn't catch. He can block. I couldn't block. I told Brandon Cox. I said, Brandon Cox, if they blitz, you better scramble. You know, Brandon couldn't run. So I would tell him that when we go. They would have, man. I think we had to play Alabama, and we had to play against D'Amico Ryans.
Right.
I said, Brandon, you know he like 240, right? I told Brandon, I said, Brandon, there's no way. I said, I'm telling you right now.
Right.
I know Coach Grant told me fit him up in the mouth in practice. We got to hit.
Right.
I was like, I'm not fitting nobody in the mouth. I would always try to chop block. And Coach Grant's like, you can't chop block everybody, son. You know, chop block is when you dive at their ankles to try to bring them down to get the quarterback to time. Coach Grant's like, you can't chop block everybody. You got to fit them in the mouth. I'm like, Coach, you see that, man? Man, nobody fit nobody in the mouth. I'm not fitting. So, like, that's like Ray Lewis running at me. Like, I'm not hitting Ray Lewis.
Check, please. I'm out.
Right. And that's why they would always bring Carl Stewart in sometimes, because he can block better, and Carl was stronger.
Man, Carl, man. My boy Carl like a lawyer or something now, man. Carl get to it, man.
Yeah, he get to it. He doing like miles on the bikes too. He do like a lot of cycling too.
Yeah, Carl was so cool, man. I think Tennessee, we had a class together, man. Carl was super cool, man.
Yeah, he's really cool. But
he was probably the only person on the football team I used to want to cheat off of.
Yeah. Carl's smart. He is smart.
I just want to cheat off Carl, like.
Yeah.
So.
And he real chill too. He just see him walk around. He wasn't somebody that needed all this like material stuff or anything else. He just throwing his kicks, jeans, shirt, and just enjoy life. That's it. Keep it pushing.
Man, you got to give me a funny story from your time at Auburn. Give me one that's funny.
One that's funny. Man, I remember my brother and I, we were roommates, right?
Okay.
And so we would get in arguments a lot. I remember one time we got an argument. You know, he had class before me. So I think he had like a 7 or 8 a.m. class. I think my next class wasn't until like later or whatever. Man, this man woke up in the morning with a bucket of cold water and threw it on me while I was in, because my room was downstairs. We stayed out for Ross, so my room was downstairs. His was upstairs.
Right.
So he woke up, threw a big bucket of cold water on me, and then like I had my door closed, so he had the front door open so he could run. So he dashed the water on me. Yeah, I had just my underwear on.
Right.
And then so I jetted out trying to chase him, and I was like, "Oh, I was so mad." So that day we had practice. We had practice in the afternoon. Right?
Right.
So I was like, every time I got the ball, I said, "Coach, run the ball to my brother's side," because I wanted to run him over. So I was trying to run towards him, so he run it off. He was like, Coach Graham was like, "Why are you trying to run your brother?" I was like, "Coach, man, he threw a bucket of water. He's like, man, you can't try to run your brother over." I'm like, "Coach, just run the ball to him. I want to run him over." And every time I ran to his way, he would run away.
Man, what David at? What are you doing?
He live in Orlando now. You know, he trains a bunch of guys. He do a lot of DB and free safety specific training.
Okay.
So he moved to Orlando because it's like the weather is like pretty consistent down in Florida.
Right.
So he loves training his guys outdoors.
No, that's cool.
You know, being in Georgia, like the weather's kind of up and down, rains a lot, it's cold, and you always got to rent space indoors. And for him, it's easier for him. Plus, he can give his guys the full experience of being a DB or safety on the field and hash to hash, and not just in the indoor turf where you're kind of limited. So, so he's down there doing that. But yeah. How you like working for the 24/7?
Man, you know what? It's cool, bro. Like, it's something. I mean, nobody in the world. Every time somebody see me and they be like, "Bro, you work 24/7." Like, they be looking like, "What?" But it's cool.
I remember I pulled an article from you guys' page one time because somebody from 24/7 wrote an article in 2016.
Okay.
And I had to use the article for because Deion came out with this comment about how he recruits, right?
Right.
And how he usually look for dual parent homes and how he does this, right? And I had to like comment on this person, like, yo, like they've been using this style of recruiting for years, just nobody never really talked about it.
Right.
And I was kind of like trying to tell, like, look, like here's an article from 2016 of them and this I believe it's a 24/7 article. They talked about how, like, you know, coaches, they talk about it was because of the 2016 draft class, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I want to say 19 out of whatever quarterbacks that was selected in that 2016 draft class, most of them came from a dual parent home.
Right.
The quarterbacks came from a dual parent home, and most of those quarterbacks, I think it was like 2 quarterbacks who weren't from a dual parent home, and most of the quarterbacks, their family had a 4-year degree. The mom and dad, 4-year degree, and they were together. And it kind of detailed all of that, and I was like, look, this has always been going on. Like Deion isn't saying something that's a foreign language. And it was funny because I pulled that from an article you guys wrote in 2016 about that whole thing. Like, look, don't be mad or offended because people's like, oh, I'm offended. I was like, don't be offended at Deion. This has been going on. Nobody was offended when
this ain't nothing new. My only thing,
it's nothing new.
No, like I think what Deion it's like Deion is now, he's not afraid to say certain things. Now, okay, sometimes you got to be careful with your honesty, right? Like,
correct, yeah.
But Deion is kind of at the point where he's like, bro, like, look, I got the job. Me, Deion Sanders, loud, brash, whatever you want to say for the culture. I got the head coaching job at Colorado. I basically can say what I want to. Me, I can't say that. Like, you probably can't say that. Like, so Deion said it, and I think he's built up enough in order for him to deal with like the backlash that comes with, because people are upset. Like,
backlash.
He's built himself up enough. People. I mean, it's almost like one of those unsaid rules, right? It's like, you know that, like, because it's almost like baseball players, right? Like I always say, quarterbacks are bred, not born. You got to have the money, the resources. Like a lot of times, you know, like and 9 times out of 10, those are going to come from a certain style of household. So, like, it's hard to be a quarterback and get the tools. Baseball the same way, right? Like to play fall ball, travel ball, all of that. It takes money. It takes resources.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah, man. It's like, so I think there's something to it. You know, there's definitely a correlation to what he's saying. Should he have said it? I mean, that's between him and God, but he's dealing with it. Ain't got nothing to do with me, because my son is a quarterback. So like, But hey, Kenny, so let me ask you this real quick.
Yes.
All right. You go to the league, right? Mm-hmm. 2nd round pick, like, and probably like at the time, like coming off, you know, Auburn is at the height of the running back U-turn time, right?
Right. Right.
Okay, cool. You get to Cincinnati. Rudy was there. Now,
Right.
me knowing Rudy was so quiet. Like, Rudy was very kind of like, if you wasn't in his inner circle, he wasn't saying a whole lot to you. Like, when you got there,
Right. Nah, you what? Nah.
like, what was your interaction like with Rudy when you got there?
He was cool. Because I had Rudy, and then also Big Willie Anderson, who went to Auburn too, the lineman.
Okay. Yeah, yep, Big
So
Willie, yep, for sure.
Willie, he was one of those individuals that tried to coach me up a lot. And also Rudy was like, look, he was like, Rudy tried to coach me up a lot too. Like he would
Okay.
invite me over to his house. He lived over up in Cincinnati because I lived in Kentucky. And he'll invite me over. I'll go over, he'll grill out, and we'll just sit and chat and talk. And he wasn't really, like you said, he keeps to himself, doesn't talk much, just handle his business and real chill.
Yeah.
So it was cool, man. Being able to have like those mentors and being able to have Big Willie Anderson, from Auburn, went to Auburn, and having that family. Because coming in as a rookie is always tough because you hear so many stories. It's hard to really like kind of connect and blend in because NFL it's a business. It's a business. It's a business. It's a business. So it's tough if you don't understand that side of the game. And then I believe making to the NFL, it's a whole different experience because being in college, you got to prepare yourself, and you have to prepare yourself to be ready for that college level. You're ready for that. NFL, I believe you need a whole nother learning and coaching for the NFL. Something I don't think I was ready for. Just dealing with the knowing my personality and who I am, and then being in Cincinnati. I think I had too big of a personality for being in Cincinnati because I was the type of person that like I didn't understand that like Cincinnati had a lot of players that get in trouble, that do a lot of things. So Cincinnati had this black cloud over them. Here I am, this happy-go-lucky, energetic. I don't see myself as this NFL player like that's untouchable. I see myself as a person like, hey, we can talk, we can hang out, I can go here, do crazy things, and just do like friendly or whatever, like goofy. People don't see that because people have this perception of NFL players as like they're untouchable. Like they get what they want, they can have what they want. You can't talk to them, you can't hang out with them, you can't party, you can't do nothing with them. And I didn't see that. I was just like, yo, let's go do something. I'll go into Hooters and go chat and hang out with people, do whatever. Like dang, like why are y'all staring? Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm human. Like you said earlier, I'm human. Like I'm nobody. I'm nobody. I'm just like you. Like I'm just because I play football, just my profession. I just get paid to do it. That's it. Like just like if you walk into Google or you walk in 24/7 Sports, I think that was the only challenge thing for me. Like being on that level and trying to understand, like, hey, look, there's a difference between, like your personality is a little too big for like the people in Cincinnati, not the people in Cincinnati, but just like, I guess I should have been more reserved, in a sense, and not like, I don't know. It was different. And for me, I enjoyed it because it was a good experience. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed having, people like Rudy and Willie Anderson to mentor me. But everything that came with, like, even with the injury, with the ACL injury that came with it, it was just a lot that I just couldn't handle. And being on that level of ball it's so demanding, trying to get back out and play. And it was just a lot. And I was just like, yo, this is for me. I was like, yo, this is just too much. I was just like over it. Like just all like the backlash you get just for trying to be who you are, be yourself. It was almost like a negative thing, just being, in college, like nobody, it's not, you can be yourself and do whatever. But when you get to NFL, it's like you got so many eyes on you, so many people watching you, like, because we're paying you this money, you can't really be you can't be you. So I was like, man, I just want to be Kenny. That's it. I don't want to be this other person. I just want to be me. And I couldn't be that person because, like, for me to be me, it comes with consequences, and people judging you, people looking at you the wrong way, like you're just a bad person. I was like, man, I don't want to. It's just I was over it. Like I was kind of happy that I don't want to say happy that I got injured because people look at you like, oh my God, they look at the reward of playing football. That's what everybody sees. That's what we're taught. When we're young, growing up, we're so focused on the reward of playing football. That's everybody. That's what everybody knows. Oh, you're getting paid. That's what a lot of people's argument. Oh, you're an athlete getting paid millions. You shouldn't have an opinion. You shouldn't get into politics. You shouldn't be this. You shouldn't be that person, because that's all I see is the reward of playing, not the risk, not like who we are as people. And like I just want to be silly and goofy and just have fun and connect with other people,
Right.
like that, other creatives and other, like, I don't want to be like, somebody that doesn't have an opinion or can't just be himself or just have, a soul or be genuine. I don't want to be fake around you because I have to be fake. I have to be this.
Right.
Like, I don't want to be that. I want to speak my mind. I want to make jokes with you. I don't want to make a joke with you, but have to get in trouble about something that because I'm an NFL guy.
Right.
So, and people, like, it's hard to say, like, I'm happy I'm not playing, because people don't see, how can you not be happy about, because you were making all this money. I was like, man, do you understand the risk that comes with all that?
Right.
Like, is it possible to have the reward without all the risk or all the judgment and all the like, I don't know, like everything? And people people want that though. Some people want that. They want to make $1 million a year, $5 million a year, and because they don't care. Like, but I care.
It's only the money, right?
It's only the money, yeah. For
Right.
me, it wasn't about the money. Like, yeah, I was there to take care of my family, do a lot of other things, but like, how much are you willing to lose of who you are for the money? And so people are willing to kill themselves just for the money, and they lose. And that's why you see a lot of players, like the risk has, they've taken their lives, or they don't have an identity, because football was their only identity. That's who they were.
Right.
So when they don't have that identity anymore, it's like, who are you now?
Right.
And I never wanted to be that person. I wanted to always have my identity, my Kenny, and I wanted to be myself. I still want to have myself intact, no matter what. Like, this is me. This is who I am. People lose that because they're so used to having that fame that's built off the back of the name on their jersey.
Right.
They're so used to that. So when they're done and people don't recognize them or call them by their first name, last name, it's like, well, who are you?
Right.
Like, hey, I'm Kenny. Like, you don't gotta call me by first name, last name. I'm just Kenny. Like,
right.
That's me. That's
right.
who I've always been. So
right.
being able to walk away from that was cool. Like, people they'll never understand it because all they see is the reward and what you're paid, and people say, oh my gosh, I can not want to make X amount of $1 million a year. I was like, man, like, any amount of money comes with a risk.
Man, all money ain't good money.
All money ain't good money. And you have to, like, and a lot of people lost their lives because of that risk. A lot of people lost their lives because, the damage and, of the continuous impact that it has on me. So I'm happy that I was able to lead the game with my health.
Right.
And being able to just be myself and still have my family and my friends and not lose any of that. A lot of people lose family over it. A lot of people, are targeted because of it, because they want to be out in the spotlight a lot, and you become a target. And
right. It's a lot that goes into it that a lot of people like that you don't see from the surface, right? And when you're living that life and you're in that world, it's not so glamorous. Like, even like, a lot, even before I started writing, I only been doing this like a year. So it's like, when I was reading the articles, it looks like this glamorous. Oh, you mean to tell me all I got to do is call a couple of recruits and they're going to pay me for it?
Right.
Bro, no, bro, it ain't like that. Like, it's a lot of work. And then just sitting around like real live journalists, like, some guys who be like, man, who is this dude coming out here with these gold chains, these tennis shoes on? Like, who do you think he is? Like, and me, I'm just out here being myself, just playing, like, I'm playing, joking. But I appreciate Auburn Undercover for allowing me to be like who I am. Like, they don't really trip on me. They're like, Dukes, go. You don't have to go interview 1 million kids. Go do what you do. Get us some information. However you do it. And now they allowed me this platform. So like guys like you, I got previous relationships with.
Right. Yeah.
This ain't the interview you're gonna give to everybody. Like,
right. Correct.
Like, so there's some comfortability that goes along with it. Man, matter of fact, speaking of comfortable, man, my dog in school was Trey Blackman. Like,
Oh, Trey.
man, Trey was my dog. And
Yeah.
we had the same birthday, 10/20, everything, man. And you know what? It's something, and I brought him up because of something you just said. It's like, do you still have you? And what a lot of people never saw in Trey Blackman was he was always searching for him. He
Correct.
was
Yeah.
always trying to find out who he was without football.
Without football, yeah.
He wanted to know, and I think, and a lot of people don't really realize and it's like, oh yeah, he wasted all that talent. He was searching continuously to find who he was. And I remember, I think the matter of fact, he used to live. So in high school, he lived with the quarterback at South Carolina, Blake or something like that. Whoever the quarterback was from LaGrange. That's like their families. Like they kind of like took him in and
Okay, that's
LaGrange.
dope.
And
Yeah, I like that.
he ended up going to South Carolina. And when he got to Auburn, I remember we'd just be chilling or whatever. And he would just say stuff like, man, you think no folks would have let me live with them if I ain't play football?
Yeah, that's
and
the
I
truth,
was like, and I was like, man, you know, some of the stuff would be so hard hitting. And there's a whole level of mental health that goes along with maintaining who you are as an athlete, especially on a level where you guys are, right?
Right,
you guys are like gods to some people, especially at Auburn.
Correct.
Like, I remember like sometimes I might just be walking across campus and, you know, it might be somebody who was like, you know, let's say I remember one time I'm walking with Big Spence, me and Spence walking, and they asked Spence for an autograph, and they asked me for one too. And I'm like, bro, I just go to school. Like, and then the guy's looking at me like, you're not going to sign it? And I'm like, bro, like, okay, College of Liberal Arts. Right. Like, what you want me to do? Right.
Yeah.
But, you know, it just gave me a glimpse into the life of what it's like being a high level athlete. So, man, I commend you and applaud you, like, definitely for having that type of mentality where football didn't make Kenny Irons, right?
No, it didn't. Yeah, right.
Football is something that Kenny Irons did, but it's not who Kenny Irons is.
Correct. Yeah. And that's how it's always been. And I don't think, you know, a lot of people, they can't, you know, divide the two. Mm-hmm. They think, you know, it's football. It's football. And then when you're done playing football, you know, like, well, then who are you? Like, who are you? You know, like, really. So for me, that's always been like, you know, I want to say my journey. Like I wasn't playing. I played because I knew how much joy it brought my father. And people said, well, why'd you play? I was like, man, I tried to quit several times because I thought I was gonna be like this veterinarian and everything else, but I knew how much joy it brought my pops. And that's why I played. And I played to see him happy. I played to see him, giving him an opportunity to brag about us on the field. I didn't play because of me. Like I loved it. I loved that I went to Auburn and met amazing people and connections and actually had like a family outside of football and like great people. Right. Like my buddy Jonathan Davis and Nick Davis and all them, and building those relationships and Doug and all these other guys. But just to seeing how, like, you know, how much joy and happiness it brought my pops. I think that was the biggest driving driving factor for me that motivated me a lot. And my mom too, her being able to come from Jersey and come to some of our games and watch us play. Right. And, you know, her like, man, she's like, this is what you do? Like she's like, man, why are these, she doesn't know much about football. Why are these people here? Like, you know, right. So, but, you know, I remember Trey, when we were spring game, he hit me one time. I was like, dang, he can hit. I saw him with he had that little neck roll piece on his head. I was like, yo, this dude a monster. He was like nothing but just muscle, like a big muscle, just running around that field on defense. When they told me Trey, they was like, yo, Trey Blackman coming in, he's a hitter. Yo, he was a hitter. I was like, yo, this dude can bang. Man, I was like, dang.
Trey was so good, dog. Like, I remember, I think the highest compliment I heard Tuberville ever say was Tubbs was like, Trey Blackman is the closest thing he's ever seen to like a Cadillac Williams on defense. And I was like, sheesh. Like,
yeah.
And the crazy part was people would think that Trey was just like this football 1000% guy. Man, Trey ain't give a damn about none of that. He was like, I'm doing this because,
Yeah,
all right. But he wasn't like this footballed out type guy.
24/7.
Yeah, no, Trey couldn't care less. He was just physically blessed to play that game, right? And
Yeah, I like that. Yeah.
yeah, he was, and man, one of the good guys. So, man, let me ask you this. Another guy I want to ask you about, man. What was it like? How we talking about big personalities, and I always wondered about this. How was it when you met Chad Johnson, Ocho Cinco? Your personality coming in as a second round pick, and you got this guy who's like the man, the big man, all the media. Like, how was it being a high round offensive player meeting Chad Johnson?
It was cool, you know, like because here he is. I think the first time I met, I think he had like some gold teeth in or something,
Right?
And then he had like this chain on. Then he was like, "Hey, bro, you know, let me tell you." He said, "Let me tell you." He said, "I'm the man around here," you know, and just kind of like not like saying it in his exact words, but kind of like just joking. Like people don't know, like Chad never got in trouble,
Right.
and he just had a big personality, just very like similar to me. You know, he was just like me, very joking, and people aren't used to that. So when I saw it, like, yeah, this dude hella cool. And even like when I met Chris Henry, when I met Chris Henry was like the opposite of Chad, very chill, similar to Rudy, like very relaxed, laid back, didn't do much, didn't say much. And Chad was just very like out, very always joking, 24/7, just joking around. And I was like, man, people need more like just somebody like people need more Chad Johnsons.
Right.
Somebody that's not so serious, that's not all like so tight, and everybody was just so tight in the NFL, just like, yo, relax, just chill, have fun. Just enjoy it. You know, like so it was good to see like him. But then it was crazy because I remember our coach had said this one thing about Chad. He was like, because Chad's production is up here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And his production is here, and his antics was like up here too, right? They were probably even, you know,
right?
Meaning like his jokes and antics on the field and off the field. Once his production goes down here, but his antics stay up here, you know, then we're gonna get rid of him. So like, man, like you're putting up with A just because he's doing B. Like I said, it shouldn't be that way. You should see, you know, like he's a great guy, great athlete. But I think when I got there, like the locker room was controlled by a lot of those veterans. So they wanted to kind of shift that because everybody would follow the veterans and not listen to the coaches.
Right.
And they would follow like the antics of the Chads and the ways of like the older veterans. So I believe they wanted to get rid of some of those apples when I was there, just so they can have more control of their team. Because they felt like some of the coaches felt like they probably didn't have control of the team.
Right.
So, but it was cool, man, being around Chad and being able to hang out with him. And he didn't really go out much. You know, he didn't really go out much. Wasn't somebody that was like out partying or out doing this or doing that. So it wasn't somebody that you had to worry about getting a DUI at 4 a.m. or something, or getting in trouble, because you know he just loves to have fun, take care of people, and you know, and play football. That was it. That's what he enjoyed.
Man, now that's crazy because a lot of times people confuse antics with bad behavior.
With bad behavior,
or they confuse big personality with diva.
With diva, yes.
And those two things don't have to correlate, right?
They don't. No, yeah, you're right. You're right. Like,
man.
Chad had a big personality, but he's not like this diva guy that needs a lot of attention or this and this. That's just who he is. I think, you know, allow somebody to be who they are and whatever brings them joy. Allow them to have that. But people just think because you have this NFL logo tattooed on you, you know, or you're playing, you can't have a big personality. You have to be what society wants you to be. You have to be like this. Just play sports. Just be entertaining. That's it. On the field, off the field, don't do anything. That's
Everybody wants you for what they want you for.
Correct.
Right? Yeah. So you could love to sing, but if I like you playing, let's say you're a great singer as well, right?
Right.
But I like you better playing football because I'm a fan of your team. So the moment that you choose to go follow your dreams, right? Now you're equally good at singing as you are football, but football, you want to go sing.
Right.
Now, I'm sick because oh, he's a wimp. Oh, he's a pansy. Oh, he
Right.
doesn't want to come out here, like, that type stuff, just because you
Yeah.
want to go follow what you want to go follow. So no, I 1000% agree with that.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it resonates with me big time. Man, Kenny, like
Yeah.
where can people find you on social media?
Kenny.irons23 on social media. I just work out and then post motivation. So if you want to see a bunch of workout videos and motivation, then they can follow it and catch up. But
Man,
that's
so
it.
my show is called The Casual Flex. You are the first person that did both. Like you came on ultra casual, then you got your traps just in the camera, pecs all like this, like
Hey,
Kenny flexed on them for sure.
Hey, I had just got off the toilet. So when you were texting, I was like, man, do I call him while I'm on the toilet or just wait? So I'm like, I had to get off the toilet, I had to go wash my hands. I'm usually on the toilet, shirt off, and everything else. Got to get comfortable, right? So I was like, I called in, like, oh man, I forgot I don't got to. That's why I didn't have the video on at first. But I see you request the video.
Yeah, they want to see you. But you out here looking like an Avenger, bro. Like I'm gonna have to sign up and come out.
I was like, dang. I was like, video. I was like, oh, say I ain't got no shirt. I was like, it's all good. I was like, forget it.
Hey man, for sure, man. Kenny, man, thank you, bro. Hey, we gotta catch up, man. It's been a minute. It's been too long, bro.
Let's do it, man. Let's do it. I think I was gonna go down to the Auburn game because I think they play Tennessee this weekend, but I'm not sure if I'm gonna go or not. I'm still trying to decide if I want to go for that because the last game for the 10th.
You going to 8A? You coming to 8A?
Yeah, I'm gonna be at 8A for sure. Yep.
They got 8A, and then they got this. I heard they had like a Letterman type deal. They gonna have like the 17th or something. But you definitely coming to 8A.
Yeah, I'm coming to 8A for sure. Yep, I'm coming to 8A.
I'm gonna text you about that other thing. See if you're gonna be down there.
All right, sounds good, brother.
All right, bro. All right.
All right, man. Thank you.
All right, no, thank you, bro.
All right.
For sure.
All right.
All right.
All right, later.